Hello my dear children of class 12 science. Today again we do continue with the chapter that we had started in the last class, and the chapter name is Junction Diodes. Okay. Now in today's class we start with the biasing of PN junction diode. So the topic that we start from today's class is biasing of PN junction diode. So in the last class we just did the introduction of this chapter by understanding what is PN junction diode, what is depletion layer, what is potential barrier, and these are the topic that we learned in the last class. Okay, so in today's class we do with biasing of PN junction diode. Now biasing is actually related with the connection of PN junction diode with the terminal of the external source. The external source means like it can be a battery, it can be a cell and all, because PN junction diode conduct current, can conduct current in the presence of what field? Electric field. Okay, so when we connect this PN junction diode with the electric field, supply electric field, that means when we connect PN junction diode with a cell or battery, then this way the process in which we do the connection of PN junction diode with a battery is called biasing of PN junction diode. So biasing of PN junction diode is nothing but connection of PN junction diode with the battery or cell. That means to supply electric field to the PN junction diode, and that is actually called biasing of PN junction diode. Okay. Now there are two types of biasing that can be done in PN junction diode. One is called forward bias. One is called what? Forward biasing. One is called forward biasing, and number two is called reverse biasing. Reverse what? Biasing. So biasing of PN junction diode can be done in two ways. One is called forward biasing, as I said, one is called reverse biasing. So what is forward bias? Under what condition we say that the PN junction diode is under forward biasing? Under what condition the PN junction diode is under reverse biasing? Now that we are going to discuss in detail. A PN junction diode is said to be connected in forward biasing when P side of PN junction diode connected with higher potential and N side of PN junction diode is connected to lower potential. But higher potential and lower potential of what? The external circuit or the external field. Okay. Now for that, let me just show you with the help of diagram. Like this is a PN junction diode. We have done in the last class also. This is the symbolic representation of PN junction diode. So this is P, this is N. So if P side of the PN junction diode is connected with the higher potential of a cell, a battery. Higher potential means the positive terminal of the battery. So if this is a cell or battery, which has positive terminal, and positive terminal of the cell or battery is called higher potential. When P connected to higher potential or positive terminal battery or cell, and N connected to negative terminal. N connected, so look at it, this N connected to negative terminal of a cell or battery, and this is called what? Potential, lower potential. So this positive terminal is called what? Potential. This is your higher potential. Higher what? Potential. And negative terminal connected to what? Potential? Lower potential. Lower potential. So you can see in the diagram, this is a PN junction diode. P connected to positive terminal or higher potential and N connected to negative terminal or lower potential. Then this circuit diagram which is connected, PN junction diode which is connected with the circuits, is called forward biasing. So that means when PN junction diode is under forward biasing, remember this much, when P side of the PN junction diode connected to higher potential and N side connected to what potential? Lower potential. Okay. Now there are other examples in which we can say that PN junction diode is also connected under forward biasing. So for that, let me just show you with the help of example. This is with the circuit diagram. Now let me just show with the example. One is PN junction diode. This is PN junction diode of P terminal. This is N terminal. So when I connect P terminal with say plus 3 volt, how much volt? Plus 3 volt. And if I connect this N terminal with plus 2 volt, so I have connected to both the positive terminal, but one is with 3 volt with higher potential, another N connected to plus 2 volt which is lower potential. Then this is under what bias? Forward bias. So PN junction diode will be under forward bias when P connected to 3 volt, the higher potential, and N connected to plus 2 volt, the lower potential. So this is also the example of forward biasing. Similarly, I take another example. If the same P-N junction diode connected in such a way so that the P terminal, this is P terminal, the P side connected to say minus 2 volt. How much volt? Minus 2 volt, and N connected to minus 3 volt. Look at this. Both are negative terminal, but P connected to negative 2 volt and N connected to minus 3 volt. Then this P connected to this higher potential, because minus 2 volt is more than minus 3 volt. So P connected to minus 2 volt, higher potential, and N connected to minus 3 volt, lower potential. So this is also the example of PN junction diode under what bias? Forward bias. Okay, let me take another example in a similar way. So I take the same PN junction diode. So I connect P terminal connected say to plus 2 volt. Okay, and N connected with 0 volt. 0 volt means I connect this as grounding, earthing. If I do N terminal of the PN junction diode connected to earthing or grounding, and P connected to plus 2 volt, then this is also under what bias? Forward bias. So PN junction diode is under forward bias when P connected to plus 2 volt and N connected to 0 volt. Or we do connect N terminal to earthing. This is also the example of what? Forward biasing. Okay, and I go to the last example. PN junction diode with this P connected to earthing, grounding, which is with 0 volt, and if I connect N terminal with minus 2 volt, see minus 2 volt. So 0 volt, the earthing or grounding connected to P terminal is at higher potential, and minus 2 volt, the N terminal connected to minus 2 volt is under lower potential. So this is also the example of PN junction diode under forward bias. So these are all the example of PN junction diode under what bias? Forward bias. So remember children this much, that when PN junction diode is connected to the external circuit in such a way so that when P type connected to P side of PN junction diode connected to higher potential and N side of PN junction diode connected to lower potential, then that PN junction diode is under what bias? Forward bias. Similarly, we can do with reverse biasing of PN junction diode. Similarly, the same PN junction diode can be connected under what bias? Reverse biasing. Now, reverse biasing is just opposite to forward biasing, where P side of PN junction diode connected to lower potential, okay, and N side of PN junction diode is connected to what potential? Higher potential. That means if we just change the terminal of the cell or battery connected to the reverse bias, as we had connected in forward biasing, then that biasing is called reverse biasing. So reverse biasing is just the process of connecting the P side and N side of PN junction diode with what potential? Lower potential and higher potential respectively. Okay. Now let me show with the help of diagram again. We know this is PN junction diode. This is PN junction diode, and this is P terminal and this is N terminal. So if this is P terminal, this N terminal, the P terminal if I connect with what? Say a negative terminal of a battery. So negative terminal of battery or cell. And N terminal I connected to positive terminal of battery or cell. See, P connected to negative terminal of a cell or battery, which is called what potential? Lower potential. Which is called what potential? Lower potential. And N terminal connected to what? Positive terminal of battery, that is called higher potential. This is called what potential? Higher potential. Now children, you can see that when P connected to negative terminal or lower potential and N terminal connected to higher potential or positive terminal, then this biasing is called reverse biasing. So reverse biasing is just opposite of forward biasing. Now there are other examples that we can see so that we can understand the PN junction diode is under what biasing? Reverse biasing. So let me just take the example. This is PN junction diode, this is P side and this is N side, and P side if I connect it with say plus 2 volt and N side I am connected with plus 3 volt. See, both are connected, both the terminal are connected with positive terminal, but one is plus 2 volt which is called lower potential and one is plus 3 volt which is called higher potential. Okay, then this is called reverse biasing. This is what biasing? Reverse biasing. Similarly, let me do with another part. If I connect the same PN junction diode, okay, in such a way so that the P side connected with what terminal? Connected with lower potential, that is say minus 3 volt, and N side connected with higher potential, that is minus 2 volt. So see, P connected to minus 3 volt, N connected to minus 2 volt, because P side connected to minus 3 volt means lower potential, and N side connected to minus 2 volt is what? Higher potential. So PN junction diode is on the what bias? Reverse bias. Okay, let me go to next one, number 3 example also. The same PN junction diode. Now if I connect with P side with 0 volt, how much volt? 0 volt, that is with grounding, and N side connected with plus 2 volt, that is with higher potential. That means P connected to 0 volt, that is called lower potential, and N connected to plus 2 volt with higher potential, then this PN junction diode is also under what bias? Reverse bias. Okay, and we go to the last one. I'll take the same PN junction diode, okay, with this P side connected with say minus 2 volt, and N side connect I'll with grounding 0 volt, because our grounding always acquire a potential of 0 volt. So this is N side and this is P side. So P connected to lower potential minus 2 volt, and N connected to 0 volt, which is higher potential than minus 2 volt, then this is also under what bias? Reverse biasing. So look at the diagram, children. The example you can see, this is the example of PN junction diode under reverse biasing. So children, in this particular video, I explain the biasing of PN junction diode, both forward biasing and reverse biasing. Now in the next YouTube video, we will basically learn the working of PN junction diode under forward biasing and reverse biasing.